I'm Hugh Hewitt. It's Friday, it's hump day, and boy, do I have a story for you. There's a Jewish space laser. And since this show has long been accused of being an operation run by the Bilderbergers, the Trilateral Commission, and the Jews, I could be targeted at any time. So I want to get this out of the way early. Marjorie Taylor Greene, newly elected congresswoman from Georgia. This is a headline in the Times of Israel. Israel is our strongest ally in the world. Israel is as close an ally to us as Great Britain. There are the equal of Israel, like Australia, New Zealand. Well, I'm not even sure about New Zealand, given they won't let our nuclear ships call in their ports. But Australia, Japan, England, we have got strong allies. Canada. But Israel's right there. Boom, our strongest ally. So this appears in the Times of Israel this morning. Marjorie Taylor Greene blamed deadly forest fire on Rothschilds and space lasers. It reads, among the many posts being unearthed in renewed scrutiny of Marjorie Taylor Greene's social media history, and one in which the new congresswoman implicated Rothschild Inc. in connection with a deadly forest fire that she wrote was started using laser beams from space. In the post, Greene offers a mix of evidence-free speculation as to what caused the 2018 Camp Fire in California, which burned more than 150,000 acres and killed 85 people. In reality, which is something with which the new congresswoman apparently deals only occasionally, the fire was determined to have been started by an electrical wiring short belonging to Pacific Gas and Electric. In the post, Greene noted that Roger Kimmel, a board member at Pacific Gas and Electric, was also the vice chairman of Rothschild Inc. Greene also wrote that PG&E had invested in technology to beam solar energy from space down to Earth. She claimed in the post that the technology had caused the fire. Now, when the Steve King problem arose, and if you recall, Steve King is a former congressman from Iowa who for a decade had a history of marginal comments right on the edge of nuttery and racism. When he stepped over that edge, the GOP stripped him of his committee assignments and basically exiled him. That is what the GOP leader needs to do with Congresswoman Greene. Now, Congresswoman Greene represents U.S. House District 14 in Georgia. And if you look it up, looks like a nice place to live. It's located north of the 20 and between the 59 and the 75. It starts just south of Chattanooga. It's on the Georgia-Tennessee border, runs down to the 20. It's to the west of Atlanta. It includes Rome and Dalton. I've got an affiliate in there. And I went and looked up, how did this lady win? Because none of us were watching in June the 14th congressional. It's a very safe Republican district. Well, not surprisingly, there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 candidates in the Republican primary. Marjorie Taylor Greene collected 40%, or 43,892 votes out of 108,000 votes. John Cohen collected 22,000, John Bargy, 9,000, Clayton Fuller, 7,400, Bill Hembry, 6,900, Kevin Cook, 6,600, Matt Lawridge, 6,200, Ben Bullock, 3,800, and Andy Gunther, 1,200. So Cohen and Greene went to a runoff in August, and I don't know if anyone voted in that. So this is one of those classic, no, but she will not win. She will draw a primary challenge in 2 years. Because that's not the only thing Marjorie Taylor Greene has done. Now, I have been a Republican my entire life. I have voted for one Democrat once in a primary in California and one Democrat once in a primary in Virginia. I'm a Virginian now. When I lived in California, my friend John Campbell was absolutely going to win re-election. So in the primary, I voted for another friend of ours, John Graham. We all went to the same church together. It was a gentlemanly affair. I just wanted to make sure that John Graham got into the general so he could get crushed by John and they could continue to sing in the choir together. That's how gentlemanly politics is conducted. So I voted for John Graham. And then I voted for Bernie Sanders in the presidential primary in 2020 in Virginia, because Virginia allows me to vote for anyone I want to. It's an open primary system, which I think is stupid. But since they're allowing it to me and President Trump was going to be the nominee, I voted for the person I most wanted to run against. I wanted to run against Bernie Sanders. I declared that on Meet the Press, no secret. You let me vote in an open primary, I'm going to strategically vote for the person I think will roll over like a freight train. But I don't know who got the nomination for Congress in my Virginia district because it's a deeply Democratic district. And what we have here is an aberration. And this aberration is hurting us with our major ally in the Middle East. It's hurting the Republican Party. It's hurting the country. It is nuttery. Her nuttery has gone beyond this to explicit calls that indicate violence is appropriate against members of Congress. She did this, by the way, after a Bernie Sanders supporter tried to shoot the entire GOP congressional caucus on the softball field. So I don't think it's funny to talk about executing congressmen or shooting congressmen. That happened a mile from my home. I know Steve Scalise. I know a lot of people that were on that softball field. I don't think this is funny at all. I think every person who invaded Congress should be arrested and tried to the full extent of the law. I also know, and this does not justify anything it did, I know that the left is exploiting the extremism on the right. A very good friend sent to me last night an article about Christian nationalism. I know what that is. That's an attempt to paint Christians as crazy. That's an attempt to marginalize mainstream evangelicals and mass-attending Catholics as somehow associated with this nuttery, with this leaning towards violence. And I know the usual suspects went out and rounded up a whole bunch of academics who say that Christian nationalism is on the rise in the United States and you ought to be worried. And this is intended to delegitimize evangelical participation in politics. I know all that, and I tell you the way to stop it is to expel from your ranks crazy people and people who hold extremist views. Expel them. So Leader McCarthy, my friend, my dear friend who has done an excellent job running the GOP, remove her from the Education Committee. Do not allow her to caucus with the Congress, with the GOP. She was elected by the people of the 40th. I do not think you should remove her. I would recommend people consult the Adam Clayton Powell cases from the Supreme Court annals of long ago. It is up. If the people of a district wish to send a marginal individual to the Congress to represent them, they may do so. It is likely they will. In the case of Adam Clayton Powell, he was removed and was reelected by the people of his district because he was beloved by the people of his district. It is unlikely that Marjorie Taylor Greene will be reelected. But look, and I want to get this in and on the record before the space laser gets me. We don't have to pretend that this is normal. We should not pretend this is normal. I noted, I went and looked at her. She is holding town halls. She is representing Republicans. She does not represent me. Her first act in Congress was to introduce articles of impeachment against Joe Biden on January 21st. All right, we don't need this. We do not need this. We do not want this. We have nothing to do with this. This is not the Republican Party. Let's be clear.